Hey, what's up, people? Thanks for clicking on this video. We are going to do the rare double review because these are two movies I don't really have that much to say about. But one of them is actually really good, and the other one is pretty bad. We're doing Scary Movie and Power Ballad. All right, we're going to start with Scary Movie 6, the worst of the two movies that I had seen. This one saw the return of Marlon Wayans and Sean Wayans after their last appearance in Scary Movie 2. And I didn't really look into the whole issue, but there was some dispute between them and the studio, which is why they weren't in 3, 4, or 5. But now they're back now, along with Anna Faris, who wasn't in Scary Movie 5, and Regina Hall. So we got the whole original crew back together as, the ghost face killer in this movie has returned. The opening scene of the movie, I will say, has Tiana Taylor in. I thought that was pretty entertaining, but it did have hints of what this movie was going to be, and that kind of was confirmed my disappointment. So this movie has three big problems, right? First, the plot. These movies aren't known for their plot, but the lack of plot in this one is pretty disturbing. At least the other ones had some sort of like line or thread or something that kind of tied all the scenes that were happening together. This movie is just scenes just pop on screen and they just seem to happen. And it almost seems like they were just like, what can we parody and put on screen? I mean, off the top of my head, there's a parody of K-pop Demon Hunters, The Substance, and the one you've seen in the trailer, Megan. If they weren't in this movie, it wouldn't have changed the story whatsoever. And also, more disappointing, the return of the Wayans brothers. They're just caricatures here. Shorty still smokes, Ray is still gay, and that is it. That's all they're here for. So, surprisingly, not having an actual narrative to tie these characters to something really worked in this movie's detriment. Next, the movie is very interested in like giving you messages. Like they had said, everyone's going to be offended by this movie, which I really wouldn't care about, So there's messaging about social justice, political messaging here, messaging to Hollywood about trying to replace OGs with younger talent. And all this social commentary is fine, but it just doesn't work in this movie. Like jokes about race, identity, politics, they're all fair game to me, at least. They just have to be funny, and they weren't. Which brings me to this movie's biggest problem. It's just not funny. I barely laughed at all. The jokes did not land. My theater was eerily quiet. And that's the biggest disappointment because I'm not going to say I'm a Scary Movie stan, but I remember Scary Movie 1, 2, and 3 I actually really enjoyed. And even Scary Movie 4, which I remember Shaq had to make a free throw with Dr. Phil there in order for them to escape. That was funny to me. Oh, and that reminds me, a fourth issue with this movie. They decided to go meta in this movie, so the characters were aware they are in the sixth Scary Movie. Like they make references to, oh, you weren't like this in Scary Movie 2, or oh, how dare you do Scary Movie 3 and 4 without the Wayans brothers? That doesn't make any sense. So like they were speaking as self-aware characters, and that really did not work for me. I did not like that aspect of the movie at all. I thought it was incredibly corny and, again, unfunny. But that's all I have to say about this. When I really don't like a movie, I don't like talking about it that badly unless it's like something that's offensive to me. This is just not funny. They need to try again, and hopefully in the seventh one they get it better. This is a 1.5 out of 5. Power Ballad, on the other hand, I actually enjoyed, but there's not a whole lot going on here. So this one stars Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas, who are on the poster. So Nick Jonas is a pop star named Danny, and Paul Rudd is a rock star named Rick. Now, Paul Rudd is older. He was a semi-famous rock star in the 80s, but he never really made it big. Whereas Nick Jonas's character is kind of like he was in a boy band that was huge. He's gone solo, and people are just waiting for him to make his big hit, right? They meet at a wedding, and they actually hit it off so well. They are just vibing off of each other, talking about their love of music in general, talking about speaking your truth into music. So then Rick plays Danny a song he's been writing for like 15, 20 years that he's never been able to finish, but he has the foundations of it down, and it is so beautiful. And Danny's like, yo, we have to finish this. The world needs to hear this song. This is great. This is going to be amazing. And Rick is like, nah, I don't think I can. And also, I should mention they'd been drinking a lot at this point or whatever. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and Rick has to, get on the road and go play another wedding gig. So all I has to say, they part on good terms. They're buddy buddy. They trade each other's information, and they go on their separate ways. 6 months later, Rick is walking through the mall, and he hears his song being sung by Danny. Danny finished the song, released it, and now it is a worldwide hit. And at first, Rick is excited. He's like, wow, I really like what he did with this. He took my foundation and made it big. I got to talk to him. But when he tries to reach out to Danny and, get credit for the song that he basically wrote, he's completely stonewalled. So this entire movie is about him trying to get the credit for the song that he created. Now, having explained to you what the plot is, I don't really have much else to say. This movie goes exactly how you think it goes. The entire second act, honestly, is really just Rick trying to get in contact with Danny. But like I said, he's getting stonewalled by the record company not wanting to get them in contact with each other, which is actually my sour in this movie, because the second act is really slow. There's not a lot happening outside of one character trying to contact another and trying to get people to believe that he actually wrote this song. The problem is he's never documented it anywhere, so there's no proof. But like I said, they really hit it off, and Danny is a good dude in Rick's mind, so all he has to do is talk to him and they can get this settled, but it's not that simple. Now, again, you can see the beats this movie is going to hit from a mile away, but I will say this is one time star power really saved a generic script, because Paul Rudd, even though he and Nick Jonas share star billing, this is Paul Rudd's movie squarely, and he knocks it out the park, man. His charm, his charisma, his delivery, his, frustrations with not getting people to believe him. I'm not sure another person could have made you feel the way Paul Rudd makes you feel. Like, you really relate to his struggle here with his own family not believing him, his bandmates not believing him, no one believing him, but he's still keeping up the hope. And it also helps that he's pretty funny. Now, this movie isn't a comedy like you think it might be. There are funny moments, but it's more of a lighthearted drama. So don't expect to laugh out loud, but you'll still have a good time with it. And something else I really wanted to mention that this movie did well. Like I said, Nick Jonas's character, Danny, he's actually a good dude. And the only reason he released this song that he knew didn't belong to him is because of record company pressure. And I love how the movie has this one message in there about artists are like slaves to record companies, and it is a very disgusting industry. We see Danny write all these songs from the heart. He's like, these are the songs I want to put out. These are going to be great. And the record company is basically telling him, no, you don't have a hit here. No, this isn't good. And he's like, no, I think this is great. And the record company is like, well, his manager is like, yeah, the guys upstairs, they're saying that you don't have a hit here. If you put this out, it's not going to do well. And he, constantly fights back saying, screw them. They don't know music. They don't know my heart. Let me put it out. Let the world see what I have. And they just constantly deny him and deny him and deny him and beat him down until he has no choice but to just put out this song that he heard Rick play. Now, I say no choice, but of course he has a choice. It's just, I like how the movie showed that he's not a sleazeball. He was the victim of sleazeballs who pressured him into doing this, or else, he would lose everything. And I really enjoyed that, because it would have been easy just to make this, a bad guy steals a good guy's work. But there are two good guys, and the real bad guy is hiding behind the scenes. So it added a little bit more depth to it, especially when they finally do confront each other. And the songs that they have here are actually pretty good. The soundtrack goes. And I really, really dug the ending. Just the way they wrapped up everything. So that's it. This one, I'd give a 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, neither of these you really need to see in theaters, but if you had to, I would definitely say go see Power Ballad. You'll have a good time. All right, appreciate your time, guys, and until next time, I'm out.